I'm Angela Hart, and I am a master trainer for UCanRow2 and for Concept 2. And today we're going to talk about 5 of the most important stretches that you can do at the end of a row when your muscles are nice and warm. Of course, more than 5 stretches would be totally appropriate, but for the sake of time, I'm going to just talk about the major 5. And I'm also going to only show the stretch on one side. Please be certain that you do all of these stretches for both sides of the body so you continue to create symmetry in terms of the body's flexibility, mobility, and strength. First thing I recommend, feet out of the foot stretchers. Now when we move into the first stretch, it's going to be a rotation of the spine. And we have a couple options. We could rotate with both feet flat on the floor. You could rotate with the left leg extended, the foot resting in the foot stretcher, the right knee bent. This is the variation of the spinal twist that I most prefer because it also allows for a stretch of the iliotibial band running along the outside of the leg. If this is uncomfortable for any reason, the knee, the hip, basic mobility concerns, you could always place both feet flat on the floor, and as you twist to the right side, the left hand would come to the outside of the right knee or thigh, and the right hand would come to the seat beneath you, or possibly the monorail. To show you the other variation, I'm going to extend the left leg, setting the shoe right on top of the foot stretcher strap. The right foot I'm going to place on the monorail. This elevates the knee, allowing for that iliotibial band to get a little more focus on the stretch. Where you place that right foot is really your personal preference, just depending on what's most comfortable. I would highly recommend that you not immediately grab a hold of the bent knee and work your way into the deepest twist possible. Let your hands simply assist you after you've allowed the body to come into the deepest variation of the stretch on its own. So we want to sit up tall, elongate the spine. Inhaling on that spinal elongation is what's preferred. And on your exhale, just start rotating in the direction of that bent knee. Once you've achieved that rotation, you can take the left hand or the left forearm at the elbow joint around the right knee. The right hand could come to the seat beneath you, holding on to the seat, or again, reaching for the monorail. Being mindful that if you have to lean in order to touch the monorail, it's better to stay vertical and hold on to the seat beneath you. As you come into the stretch, the idea is to feel the iliotibial band stretching as you draw that right knee towards the left side of the body. So not only can I feel that great IT band stretch along the outside of the right leg, but I'm also rotating the length of my spine, feeling the stretch through the abdominal and back muscles, and definitely be sure to look over that right shoulder so that the uppermost vertebra of your cervical spine are also involved in your spinal twist. Again, make sure at the end of holding the stretch for whatever length of time is appropriate, returning to center and enjoying the stretch on the opposite side, which could be feet flat, it could be right leg extended, left foot resting on the monorail. Now coming out of that spinal twist in the way that I had shown, I'm going to move into a stretch for the glute and the little piriformis muscle, which can cause some irritation, especially the rotation over the sits bones if you're not quite getting enough pelvic tilt or forward hip hinge before the knees bend. You might feel a little irritation where that piriformis muscle crosses the sits bone of the pelvis. So this stretch can be really helpful. You want to externally rotate the bent knee where the thigh and hip meet, placing the outer ankle above the opposite knee. Again, always sitting up nice and tall, keeping the spine in neutral. We want to bend the extended leg, maintaining that external rotation of that bent knee, and you're going to feel that really nice stretch from where the piriformis attaches at the top of the thigh bone, across the buttocks into its attachment on your sacrum. So this is a really nice stretch. You can go as deep into it as you'd like. The more flexion you place into the supportive knee, the more stretch you'll feel in the glute and piriformis muscle. Another stretch, again, be sure to do it on the opposite side. Another stretch that's really beneficial would be spinal flexion and extension, with a little more focus on the extension. A lot of us do, unfortunately, round our backs a little too much in the rowing stroke. We get a little too much spinal flexion. So having that spinal extension is a great way to counteract any flexion that might have occurred during the rowing stroke. So doing a seated cat-cow or a seated spinal flexion and extension, hands resting on the thighs. Think of this more as a pelvic tilt and tuck. So on your exhale, you're going to slide your hands towards your knees, tuck your tailbone under, round your back towards the monorail behind you, drop your head towards your chest, and enjoy that rounded spinal flexion. Now on the inhale, we slide the hands up the thighs. We begin tipping the pelvis forward as we arch the spine to the front of our elbows, lifting our gaze gently, and just linger here for a moment, really enjoying that arched back, that feeling of stretch along the front of the body. So moving with the breath, tucking and tilting, rounding and arching, moving into spinal flexion and spinal extension can feel really nice. This also allows for that movement forward and aft on the sits bones of the pelvis, which can be a nice reminder of how it should feel when we're working through the appropriate sequence of motions in the rowing stroke. Another stretch to enjoy seated would be for the hip flexor. Now you could come off the rowing machine and actually move into a lunge, or you could bring one leg behind. I like to place the shoelaces on the floor and slide myself a little farther forward on my seat. Holding onto the seat for support also allows me to lean into it a little bit more to really elongate the hip flexor, which has gotten quite a bit of work through the course of our row. So you want to sit up tall at first, push your hips forward so that the toes stay connected to the floor behind you, and start leaning back into those supportive arms. Softening into your elbows, creating a bit of a crescent shape to really stretch the hip flexor. Again, we would enjoy the stretch on both sides. And then the last stretch, I'll turn sideways. You can also do this standing, but we want to stretch the big latissimus dorsi muscles, which run along the sides of the torso. So we want to take our hands, extend them out at shoulder height, rotate palms down, and we want to place one palm on the top of the opposite hand. So our thumbs are out to the side. Then we want to rotate once again. So palms are touching, fingertips nice and long. Be careful not to lace the fingers. We want to keep the mobility. Thumbs are on the bottom, pinkies on the top. And we want to put a bend in our elbows. Slowly start to lift the hands. See if you can align the wrists over the crown of the head. If you can't go that far because of mobility limitations in those lats, that's okay. Go as far as feels good. Once you've established the positioning of the wrists over the head, start to slowly extend the arms. You're going to feel the upper arms gently squeezing on the head like a soft vice. And you're really going to feel those latissimus dorsi muscles elongate from your armpits down to your waist. If you need a slightly deeper stretch in your latissimus dorsi muscles, you could certainly add a little side lateral bend. Here I'm isolating my right lat by bringing my body over to the left, coming back to center, and then moving to the right to give that left latissimus dorsi a little more focus. Just really stretching up and releasing. So 5 really beneficial stretches after rowing. Of course, listen to your body. You might enjoy doing a standing thigh stretch, using the rowing machine for balance stability if necessary. You could come to the back of the rowing machine, place the toes or the ball of the foot against that back support, give the Achilles tendons a nice stretch. So just a couple stretches to think about at the end of a row when your muscles might be tight, but we also want them to be nice and warm. The beauty of rowing is it does create wonderful mobility, stability, flexibility, and strength with every stroke. So enjoy your stretches. and enjoy your run.